What a week it has been. Thank you all for joining me on this national ride of mine throughout the day across Twitter and then here in the evenings with these recaps. Um, it was a fun week. It was such a fun week. As you all know, I've met hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people, but so many people that we converse with almost on a daily basis across Twitter and the hobby community. Um, I discovered this week that it goes far and wide, and um, it was an impressive week, and I do appreciate all of you pushing me and cheering me on throughout the way. We did it. We got through all 500 um, national rack packs. And to say that I am ecstatic about it is downplaying it because I'll be honest, I started, oh, excuse me, I went into the week thinking I got this. Like 500 people amongst the hundreds of thousands that are going to be there. This will be easy. And after the first day, I had some serious doubts because, as I mentioned on the first day, it was the busiest first day of the National that I've ever seen. And I had serious concerns of how I was going to pull this off from a logistics standpoint and from a me personal standpoint because I don't do well with crowds. I don't like crowds. I don't like um, being around a lot of people in tight places like that. It's not a fear. It's not anything like that. It's just, I don't like it. And um, I knew that I was going to have to push through all of that anxiety and all of that to make this happen. And I'm glad that I did because to see the reactions of people, to hear, their excitement and see the smiles on their faces, it was worth it. It was well worth it. I changed strategy in a big way today. I've told you all the last couple of days that I was going to do more out on the showroom floor. Just I discovered yesterday that the corporate booths were a really great place to meet people because that's what they're there for. Like they are the activation areas. They are the areas that are drawing people in, whether it's because there's a break going up on the eBay stage or there's something at the Topps booth or whatever the case may be. I mean, they're all coming in. And then what happens is, you know, people then go to the outside, the fringes of it, and they're just kind of hanging out, seeing what's happening. And it creates that space and that opportunity to have a little bit of a conversation with people that is not in the middle of somebody trying to make a deal on the floor or somebody trying to actively participate in whatever the activation is. Um, so that was one change in strategy. The other change in strategy that I did on this last day, which it took me a lot of time and thought to come to terms with this strategy because it was never my impetus to just give free cards away. It was always to have a conversation with somebody and get to know their hobby journey and their story. And so a lot of times I'd walk up to people and I would just introduce myself. And I got a lot of crazy looks like, okay, like, am I supposed to know you? And even there were plenty of people that wouldn't even tell me their name. And so what I did today is I led with, hey, would you like some free cards? And that really broke the ice. It was really great because, it got their attention right away. They realized that, okay, this person is not trying to quote unquote sell me anything. Um, and then I was able to have that same conversation with them and get to know who they were and everything. One thing that I did not like about having it all, not all, but a good majority of today being on the showroom floor around those corporate booths is it didn't allow for a lot of pictures. And I like to document the pictures because I like to show you on Twitter, like, this is who the hobby is. And I like to tell the story of, who these people are. And it helps with promotion of the Hobby Foundation and Rack of the Day. So I was really trying to do all of those things. Um, but I was more concerned about meeting people. I met a lot of good people today. Finally got to catch up with Suze over at the CGC booth. They have helped with her guidance and her support. They've helped Rippin' for the Cure. Got to meet, uh, sorry, I got to look here. Ba, 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 ba. Just making sound effects. Mm, goodness, sorry. Jim, who is a new connection on Twitter. I think it's Salmon Works Cards or Salmon Watch. I don't, but really great guy. Super nice. He was telling me that he's keeping his followers really to a minimum, of card accounts, which I think is, smart. Um, Going through the pictures again here, see if there's anybody hobby Twitter related that I met today. The biggest meetup today, though, for me was Greg Poole of Cans Ministry. Um, I have followed Greg's story for a few years now. When Ryan Fagan documented it in Sporting News, and then Che, who is Ian Sports Cards on One, had him on his podcast. This man he's a national treasure for the hobby and the way he utilizes it to support his community. And I've been wanting to meet him and talk with him and find out a way that, we could work together or I could help him with anything. And the man is working his tail off. I mean, and I encourage all of you to please show him some support, show him some love. If you can make donations of cards to him, he will gladly take them. Utilize his cards to, give away to kids. Excuse me. He will sell cards to generate funds so he can stock his teacher room and help bring beds to kids that need them and provide just the necessities for his community. This man is a treasure. If you can provide cash donations, I would consider doing that as well. But he was my meetup for the day, and I was so incredibly thrilled to have that opportunity. And Greg, if you see this video, just know that I am rooting for you, and I know that you are going to get over that hump that we talked about. You have the heart to do it, and I'm rooting for you, my man. Um, so something that I noticed today, and it's been building all week. Um, Busy crowds, and I said earlier I was terrified of what the weekend was going to look like, and that came true today. Today was incredibly busy. The crowds were almost impassable, and I'm glad that I finished number 500 when I did because by that point in the day, personally, I had hit a wall. Today, I really felt the weight of the week on me. My back was hurting. My feet were starting to hurt. Um, but I just had to keep going. And then when I tried to get through the crowds, it was maddening at times, and it posed a question. There was one instance where the Bo Jackson Battle Arena booth was, which, by the way, busiest place in the entire show was that booth all week. But at one point, I'm walking through, and I don't know what was going on because if I'm standing up, the platform was a good 6 feet above me. So you can't really see what's truly happening. But my best guess was that Bo Jackson was there because everybody's congregating around it. And you got people with their phones. I don't even know how they could see anything. But it was what that's where I'm like, just move. Like I just had to get through to where I was going, and it was pretty difficult to do. Um, I was also scared for today because it was raining here, and I thought this week I am probably in the minority of this, but I thought they did a really nice job handling the crowds um, based off of what happened last year. There was a lot of hiccups last year with the crowd. This this year with the rain today, they adjusted things, rerouted people, it seemed like, and that created kind of a backlog. Um, and I guess personally, it hindered me because as I'm going this way, everybody's coming this way down the hallway. Um, and then I had to come back and got Salmon Muscle Cards. He just replied to a tweet of mine today. So Salmon Muscle Cards is who I was referring to. Um, so I got stuck in that line. Well, one thing that they really did a nice job of with that is the people who were in line for like the general admission, everybody was coming, or the workers were coming down and scanning their QR codes and tagging them right then and there. Couldn't go yet; they were still had to wait in line. But for those that had a VIP badge, like I had, they just allowed us to keep right on going. So that was really helpful, and I think they accommodated as many people as much as they could. Um, I don't think the National was prepared for the amount of people that were there this week, though. And I dare anybody, I don't care who you are, I dare anybody to say that the National is dead because it's not. It's not going anywhere. It is only going to grow. Was talking with Josh Reynolds yesterday, who I met, and him and I both were saying that the National over the last couple of years, more so this year, has really increased the activation presence, meaning there are interactive things to do. It's just not a stagnant show. There are more interactive things to do. The good thing is they kind of kept it um, quiet, not quiet of like, we don't want you to know this is going on, literally quiet. I didn't think it was all that loud. I was talking with a guy at the Heritage booth today. He was right. They were right up against eBay. He said, "Yeah, we're up against this all day." eBay booth got loud at times. I don't think it was loud all the time, but it got loud at times for sure, depending on who was there. And you can't control celebrities and their personalities and things like that, but you can control, interviews and, those types of things. So, but I think that's one thing that National needs to really be aware of for next year is you're going to have more people next year than you had this year. Where are you putting them? How are you getting them in and out? And what does that look like? So that you are not bothering everybody and you're not making everybody mad at the same time. So I think that's something that they'll try to figure out. I don't have the solution to it right now. If they come and want to talk to me about it, I'm more than willing to shoot ideas around with them, but I don't have any. Um, so yeah, so I today was maybe the most cards I picked up today between purchasing and racks that I was given. Um, I'll just start out with these. These were really interesting. So I was walking through and I heard two guys say, "Oh, I think I just gave out my last pack," and I had to stop them. And I'm like, "Excuse me, like, uh, what do you mean you gave out your last pack?" And he thought that I was asking him for one. I said, I don't need one. I said, I'm not asking for one. I'm just curious what you're doing. He goes, "Oh, I got these two here. Why don't you take them?" And they're called Untamed. Yeah, it looks like they're called Untamed, but they are wildlife cards. And there's a QR code on the back of them. It says collect the saga, enter the realm. So I don't know if they're story cards or what. One pack's thicker than the other. I think he did say that there were hits in them. So I don't know. I'm not going to open these. I don't know if anybody would want these, but it was interesting. Um, Met Josh Raymond today, and he gave me two cards. Was it Josh that gave me? Josh gave me these two cards. The first one was a Nick Kurtz wild card. I think it was numbered to 10. I gave it to an A's collector that I met yesterday and ran into again today. And then he gave me this sweet one of one Cal Riley card, wild card Joker. Um, just a super cool card. And he said to me, you utilize them as you see wish. So I appreciate that, Josh. That was really kind of you. Um, ran into big. God, I knew I should have looked this up before because I knew I was going to say it. Now I don't want to screw it up. Um, yeah, it's not that. Who? What's? Oh man, no. This is so great when I'm live. That's all right. Nobody's watching anyway. Tech card. Was it text cards? Oh God. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I think so. I think it was text cards, but I don't want to screw this up. Anyway, we were talking, and I was telling about my son collecting, and he gave me this really cool Spencer Jones auto Topps debut. Um, that was pretty cool of him. So thank you for that pro debut. Super cool card there. Um, Sue Tiska texted me the other night. She goes, "We got a gift for your son." Um, her and Marie, and I was just like, that's crazy. But they found me today, and Landon is going to love this sweet Jose Ramirez ornament. So thank you to the two of you for that. And then they had a gift for me too, which they didn't need to, but they watched, I guess, last night's ranting that I had, ramblings, and um, walked up with this 1978 Topps PSA 8 Thurman Munson. And of course, I said yesterday why I collect him is he was my dad's high school catcher. I said to them, I said, I have this card already, but I don't have it graded. So I love now that I have it graded, and it is a really nice looking card. Not sure why they gave it an 8, but I don't really care because It's super cool. So Donnie Cash Lumber, if you're watching, there you go. Kid yesterday, I said, got the Spencer Strider. Ran into him again today. Uh, he had cards laid out, and I stopped and I said, how's it going? And his dad was there with me. So he's trying to sell cards. He goes, he's just, nothing. And so he had cards out there, and for whatever reason, this Mike Trout card stood out to me. Um, I said, how much is that card? And he goes, $10. I said, cool. And had a 20 out in my hand. I said, what else do you have for $10 more? And it's no need to make change. So he gave me a Bills card. Oh, Dante Whitner, which I ended up giving to a Bills fan. And then he also gave me a Joker graded card and gave it to a basketball fan, really cool basketball fan. So thought that was really cool to be able to do support him a little bit and um, give more to others. Then I bought cards for Landon today. He's going to be so disappointed in me. I know he is because it was tough to get to like the dollar boxes or cheaper boxes. And once I did get to them, like the players that are on his list were so picked over that I can only get a few. So I found some Paul Skeens and Mike Trout cards that were on his list. So got that Paul Skeens, got that one. This one here, Trout, Skeens here, another Trout here, 8-bit baller and black and white. So, but I mean, obviously they're the most popular players, and they were just completely picked over, or just super expensive too. And had to make sure that obviously I'm staying conscious of all that. I did pick up 2 cards for myself, and Michaela, she let me know of a Kenny Lofton auto over at Sports Card Junction, which is in Pittsburgh. And so I went over there. I needed to go see Chad and his team anyway, and that's where this was at. So this is from, is it 21? Yeah, 2021 Topps. It's right there. That's the Kenny Lofton I need, right? It says Indians on the chest. Chief Wahoo's there. Granted, this is before they changed to Guardians, but just a sweet card. And so I've been considering starting this rainbow actually, and so may go down that rabbit hole now. And then I said, "Do you have any other Kenny Lofton autos?" He threw this one up, and I have been eyeing this one up on eBay for a while and just haven't pulled the trigger. It's from 1996 Leaf, um, the Leaf Authentic Signature. Just a really, really good card. Slay, no, there is somebody watching. Hello. Um, it's just a sweet card, and I couldn't turn it down. So I'm glad that I own this now. But those are my 2 pickups. I was eyeing up a Willie Mays signed baseball. He's one of my quote unquote must haves of the Hall of Fame baseball collection. And the price wasn't terrible on it, but it wasn't great either. And I looked at it, I was considering it, and I asked the guy if I could see it, and he was very gracious, to take it out of its holder. It was in a plastic bag, and looking around it, it looks, good. There's no staining. The signature was in blue, which is what I like. And it had JSA certification sticker on it, and he said he had the full letter for it too. And um, I was considering it, and I asked him just out of courtesy, do you mind if I look up the certification sticker? And the reason I asked this is because there's been a lot of news over the last year or so about fake autographs. And it's always concerned me. I've always looked up certification numbers when I'm trying to get something for myself or somebody else. And then also recently, within the last week, what's up, Scott? Um, you should definitely open up that Mega Mix. Um, I approached a guy on eBay who had a Bob Feller signed jersey up, and I looked up the certification number on JSA, and it did not match with Bob Feller. And so I messaged him that with a screenshot, and his response was like, "Oh man, like this is crazy. Like I got it in a break, and now I'm gonna have to contact the breaker, and you know, I'll call JSA." Like my first thought was, who calls JSA? Maybe you can, I don't know, but um, I said, "Oh, okay," And so anyway, I forgot about it. And while I've been here, he messaged me again and he said, "Hey, it's all fixed." And so I go on JSA's website, and yeah, it says Bob Feller, but it doesn't say number 19. It says number 9. Now, the autograph is on the 9, but typically it'll say number 19 jersey. So I was a little leery, and I did not pull the trigger on it because plus he was asking a really good price, like one of those too good to be true prices. So, antennas are up. But anyway, asked the guy about the Willie Mays ball if I could look up the certification. He got very offended by that. Um, and I said to him, I said, I'm not saying that you did anything. I'm just covering my bases. And he was very offended by it, and so I didn't look it up, and I walked away from it, which I feel good about because if I'm going to buy something, I want to buy it with confidence. I want to buy it from somebody that actually wants to sell it to me too. It didn't seem like he wanted to sell it, which then brought up another thing that I started noticing as I started looking more closely at baseballs. Why do dealers not take care of their signed baseballs? They all look dirty and dingy and stained. Like, take care of these things. Like, if you are not displaying them, put them in a case, put them in a box so that there's no light that's getting to them. Um, there's ways to protect those baseballs. I have mine on display, but it's out of sunlight. It's out of direct light. Um, and that's why they look nice, and I've had them up for 5 or 6 years. But I was just shocked at how disgusting some of these baseballs looked. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's there were players I had never heard of from like the 40s or 50s, and they were Hall of Famers. Um, take care of them. Like, and then if you're not going to take care of them, don't expect me to pay top dollar for a baseball that is dirty compared to a baseball that is pearl white. It's just not going to happen. So, um, and Slay, you're right. If it's real, there shouldn't be a problem. You should never question it. Yeah, by all means, go ahead and look it up. Um, so yeah, I mean, great day today. Fantastic show overall. I'll have a longer recap written up probably tomorrow or Monday. But man, like, come to the National. It's the place to be. If you're a collector and you want to meet people and you want to interact with things and be a part of it, it truly is the place to be. It has changed in the 5 years that I've been coming, and for the better. So, it's certainly something that I think everybody should experience. But I'm going to rip something. Suze gave me this at CGC. Um, it looks like it's called CGC Presents Star Packs, the Wax Star Collectibles, the Ultimate National Trade Night Giveaway, courtesy of CGC. So, feels like there's a slab in there. My hope is that it's a CGC slab. So let's see what we get. No cheating. Is that how it works? Oh, look at that. Okay, I want to make sure that well, I guess I can see it if I pull it out even this way. I'll do this. So let's see. Got a CGC credit and got a CGC 9 Tyler Shook. So we know any Saints fans that would like this? I think we do. So pretty cool there. Thank you, Suze. Thank you, CGC. Really nice of you guys to do that. But yeah, like I said, good show overall. Great experience. Highly recommend it to everybody that's coming. Happy to kind of share further thoughts or answer questions as people see fit. You can always DM me on Twitter and message, or tag me and whatever. But again, I appreciate everybody following along. 500 packs out the door. Those of you that helped build those packs, thank you. I appreciate the cards. Slay, you sent me cards that were included in there. Those of you that I purchased cards from, appreciate you working with me within a budget that I had set. So again, great work this year. Now what's next up? Hard to believe that I'm saying this because it's August. Christmas racks. I am going to start putting Christmas racks together. So I'll have my lists put together and needs put together. And I may be reaching out to some of you for those. And then, my God, Ripping for the Cure is going to come right back around and, launch there. I talked to a few people I've been here about that too for next year. So all great stuff, all good stuff. And tomorrow we return to normal as normal. I can't speak. We go back to normal. Rack of the Day will be up and running tomorrow as is. And, we do have a guest racker tomorrow since I'm traveling on the road all day. But back to it, back to the grind. It doesn't stop, and I enjoy it. So, folks, thank you all very much. It's been a real week. I truly appreciate it, and hope you guys all have a great rest of your weekend.